Hey YouTube, welcome back to Axes and Allies, the Garrison. Detroit here, coming back to you with another episode of the YouTube Wars, this time with Operation Market Garden. This is an international game composed of the Allies who are being commanded or controlled by myself as the commander of the British forces. You have Corporal Clegg, who's the commander of the Soviet Union, and Hilltop Pillbox, who is the commander of the United States. As for the Axis, you have the chaplain, who is the commander of Imperial Japan, and last but not least, Hell on Wheels, who is in charge or in command of the Axis powers in Europe with Italy and Germany. This is a 3.0 version of the BBR game, which is the mastermind of Sired Blood, who is the designer of not only this beautiful map, but also of this amazing game. Of course, we have to mention that the footnotes are the creation and hard work, the heavy research that Lieutenant Dan from Georgia incorporated into this version of the map. So it's a fantastic work that Lieutenant Dan has done. All right, so let's go ahead with this game. And by the way, before we proceed, I do have to mention that we do have a playlist of Operation Market Garden that you can follow in this channel. I also suggest that you follow or watch the channels of those YouTubers who are participating in this game. They also have their own playlist. So if you choose to, I highly recommend that you watch their channels as well. All right, so we are at the tail end of round one. It is officially the beginning of AnzaCanarance. So the Anzacs will be not declaring any battles. They'll just go straight into non-combat movements, and they'll be as follow. Okay, by the way, I'm forgetting that AnzaCanarance does begin the turn with 10 IPCs. They'll be purchasing 1 naval transport and 1 infantry. Okay, so non-combat movements. The Anzacs will pick up 2 infantry. Okay, we'll take 1 naval transport from C-Zone 62 at a movement of 1, 2, and 3, and we'll land 2 infantry in Java. That's 4 IPCs that go to the economy of the Anzacs. Let's go into non-combat let's continue with non-combat movements. The fighter in Queensland will take off. There is an airbase in Queensland. This fighter will take off at a movement of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. It will land in Malaysia. All right. Okay. The 2 AAAs in New South Wales will move north to Queensland. The 2 fighters in New Zealand will take off at a movement of 1, 2, and 3, will land in Queensland itself. The destroyer in C-Zone 62 and the cruiser in C-Zone 63 will make steam and head up north to C-Zone 54, where they will rendezvous and link up. All right, and I believe that does it for the Anzacs. The Anzacs should now be at 14 IPCs that they'll be carrying over to round 2. But of course, I'm forgetting to place the newly purchased units, and they'll be going into the transport. Will go into C-Zone 62, and the newly recruited infantry division will be placed in New South Wales, where there is a minor complex. Okay, so let's go ahead then with Canada. Canada, the North Atlantic, I shouldn't say northeastern, the North Atlantic, will move 1 destroyer from C-Zone 116, from C-Zone 106 into, at a movement of 3, 1, 2, and 3. This destroyer is now in C-Zone 104. The reason why we're doing that is because we're using that destroyer as a blocker. So we're sacrificing it. All right, the naval transport In season 106, we'll pick up the Canadian Infantry Division and Armored Division. Okay, and we'll make steam at a movement of 1, 2, and 3, and is now in season 109, and it will drop off the infantry and armor into the United Kingdom. The Canadian infantry, or two infantry divisions in Scotland, will move south into England as well. Okay, the infantry and artillery in Ontario will move into Quebec at a movement of 1. Okay, and I believe that does it for the Canadians. The Canadians collect 7 IPCs this turn. The Canadians will not, I repeat, will not be buying anything. They will be taking or carrying over their 7 IPCs to round 2. And that wraps up the Canadians. Now, last but not least, the French. Okay, the French will do have a couple of moves. They have 1 infantry in Morocco, which will move east and link up with the French Foreign Legionnaire Division in Algeria at a movement of 1. That's 2 infantry there in Algeria. In French West Africa, you have 1 infantry that moves into French Central Africa at a movement of 1. Okay. Actually, no. What we're going to do is this infantry will be moving north into Morocco. That's the best choice that we have there, I believe. Okay. The French destroyer in season 72, okay, will move east at a movement of 1 and 2. All right, I believe that does it for the French as well. Of course, the French capital, Paris, has fallen, and the French do not get to collect any income because they, in essence, have been knocked out of the game. However, they still have pieces to move. All right, so let's go ahead with final dispositions of forces recap portion of the video. And they're as follows. The Anzacs have one infantry in New Zealand, 1 transport in season 62, 1 infantry and a minor complex in New South Wales. In season 54, they have a cruiser and a destroyer. In Queensland, 2 AAAs, 2 infantry, 1 artillery, and 2 fighters. In Dutch East Indies, they will have 2 infantry, 1 naval transport in season 42, 1 infantry in Malaya, along with 1 fighter. In Egypt, Cairo, they have 2 infantry, and that does it for the Anzacs. Now, for the Canadians have 1 destroyer, season 104, 3 infantry, 1 armor in England, 1 artillery, 1 infantry in Quebec. The French have 2 infantry in England, 1 fighter. They have, I do have to admit, I made a mistake here. I forgot that the French could have used, they should have attacked the Italians here. That's my mistake, guys. I apologize to my allies for that. It's something that I forgot to do. But it is what it is. The game has been played already, and I should have attacked, but heck, errors happen. I make them all the time. So anyways, the French do have an infantry and 1 artillery in Normandy, Bordeaux. They have an additional infantry in Morocco, Casablanca, and in Algeria, 2 infantry. In Syria, okay. In Syria, we have 1 French infantry, and if you noted, fellas, it is chipped it is chipped. Okay, so we have a standing rule. If it's chipped, it's moved. Okay, so it was my intent to move that completely. Okay, so that infantry is in Transjordan, in Transjordan. So if you guys have a problem with that, my opponents or my allies, please let me know. I have no problems with north to Syria. So I have no issues with that. It's just a courtesy that we grant each other in the YouTube wars, where we agree that if it's chipped, the movement actually did happen. So just let me know if you guys disagree with that, and I'll oblige. It's no big deal. It's only one infantry. It's more a symbolic move, if anything. All right, guys. So that does it. Of course, the French do not get to collect an income. All right. So it is officially the end of round one. It is now the beginning of round two with Germany. Hell on Wheels is up again. Just a commentary here. Very interesting what happened here in the Mediterranean. The Italians were able to they came just shy of taking out the entire British fleet, with the exception of the British destroyer in season 92. But there was a price to pay for the Italians. They actually ended up losing. They did knock out the two cruisers. The French fleet in 93 composed of a destroyer and a cruiser, and there was a British destroyer in 98. So they were very effective at eliminating the British fleet from the Mediterranean, with the exception of the destroyer in 92. But it did come at a cost. It did come at a price, and that was that the Italians in the battle for season 96 actually ended up losing their battleship. They also lost a destroyer in 93, and that's irreplaceable pieces for the Italians. So, okay, so very interesting footnote there, I should mention. And guys, this is the end of round one, officially beginning of round two. And as I like to say, don't forget to bunker down and play.